Here are the top 5 best-selling Assassin's Creed games. Coming in at 5th place is Assassin's Creed 3 with just over 12 million units in sales. Taking the 4th spot on this list is Assassin's Creed Odyssey with around 12.7 million units sold. And at 3rd place we have Assassin's Creed Origins with around 13.5 million units in sales. Coming into 2nd place is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag with around 15 million units in sales. And securing the 1st spot on this list is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, selling around 25 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Far Cry titles. Coming in at 5th place is Far Cry 2 with around 2.9 million units in sales. Taking the 4th spot on this list is Far Cry Primal with around 4 million units sold. And occupying the 3rd spot is Far Cry 3 with around 10 million units in sales. Coming in at 2nd place is Far Cry 4 with around 12.5 million units in sales. And finally, taking the 1st spot on this list is Far Cry 5, selling approximately 20 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling NBA 2K titles. Coming in at number 5 is NBA 2K21 with just over 11 million units in sales. In 4th place, we have NBA 2K19 with around 12 million units sold. At 3rd place and marginally beating 2K19 is NBA 2K22 with just over 12 million units sold. And filling the 2nd spot on this list is NBA 2K23 with over 13 million units in sales. And winning the 1st spot on this list is NBA 2K20, selling over 14 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling FIFA titles. Tied in at 5th place is FIFA 14 and FIFA 15 with around 14 million units sold. Coming in at 4th place is FIFA 13 with around 14.5 million units in sales. Taking up the 3rd spot is FIFA 11 with around 16 million units in sales. And occupying the 2nd spot is FIFA 19, selling around 20 million units. Securing the 1st spot on this list is FIFA 18 with around 26.4 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 best-selling Call of Duty titles. Coming in at 5th place is Call of Duty Black Ops 2 with around 30 million units in sales. In 4th place and marginally beating Black Ops 2 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 from 2011 with just over 30 million units sold. And taking the 3rd spot on this list is Call of Duty Black Ops with around 31 million units sold. At 2nd place we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare from 2019 with just over 41 million units in sales. And securing the 1st spot on this list is Call of Duty Black Ops 3, selling just over 43 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Battlefield titles. Currently taking the 5th spot on this list is Battlefield 6 with around 10 million units in sales. Coming in at 4th place is Battlefield 5 with approximately 14 million units sold. And taking the 3rd spot on this list is Battlefield 4 with approximately 14.8 million units in sales. And coming in at 2nd place is Battlefield 3 with around 17 million units in sales. Securing the 1st spot on this list is Battlefield 1 with approximately 25 million units sold. Here are the top 5 best-selling Five Nights at Freddy's games on Steam. Springing into 5th place is Five Nights at Freddy's 3 with around 750,000 units sold. Taking the 4th spot on this list is Five Nights at Freddy's 4 with around 861,000 units in sales. And coming in at 3rd place is Five Nights at Freddy's 2 with around 1.5 million units sold. Coming in at 2nd place and marginally beating Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach, selling just over 1.5 million units. And celebrating the 1st spot on this list is Five Nights at Freddy's 1 with around 3.5 million units sold. Here are the top 5 best-selling Super Mario titles. In 5th place we have Super Mario Odyssey with around 29.8 million units in sales. Coming in at 4th place is New Super Mario Bros. Wii with around 30.3 million units sold. And taking the 3rd spot on this list is New Super Mario Bros. DS with around 30.8 million units in sales. And holding it down at 2nd place is Super Mario Bros. On the NES with around 40.2 million units sold. And securing the 1st spot on this list is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, selling around 67.4 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Pokemon titles. Rolling into the 5th spot is Pokemon Diamond and Pearl with 17.7 million units in sales. And coming in at 4th place is Pokemon Gold and Silver with around 23.1 million units sold. Taking the 3rd spot on this list is Pokemon Sword and Shield with around 26.8 million units in sales. Capturing the 2nd spot on this list is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet with around 28 million units sold. And securing the 1st spot on this list is Pokemon Red, Green, and Blue with around 31.4 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 best-selling Final Fantasy titles. Shifting into 5th place is Final Fantasy XIII with around 7.7 million units in sales. Blasting into 4th place is Final Fantasy VIII with around 9.6 million units sold. Slashing into third place is Final Fantasy 15 with around 10 million units in sales. Sneaking into the second spot is Final Fantasy 7 with around 15.1 million units sold. And sprinting into the first spot is Final Fantasy X, selling around 21.1 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Sonic titles. Sprinting in at number 5 is Sonic Superstars with around 2.43 million units in sales. And drifting into the fourth spot is Team Sonic Racing with around 3.5 million units sold. Bouncing into the third spot is Sonic Colors with around 4.6 million units in sales. And launching its way into the second spot is Sonic Frontiers with around 4.57 million units sold. And rolling into first place is the original Sonic the Hedgehog, selling over 15 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Halo titles. Sneaking into fifth place is Halo Combat Evolved with around 6.5 million units sold. And blasting its way into the fourth spot is Halo 2 with around 8.5 million units in sales. Bolting into third place is Halo 4 with around 9 million units sold. Hovering into second place is Halo Reach with just over 9.5 million units in sales. And propelling its way into the first spot is Halo 3, selling around 14.5 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling WWE titles. Jumping into fifth place is WWE 2K19 with around 2.5 million units in sales. Punching into the fourth spot is WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain with around 3 million units sold. Kicking its way into the third spot is WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 with around 3.3 million units sold. Locking up the second spot is WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 with just over 4 million units in sales. And securing the first spot on this list is WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2008, selling just over 7.4 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Grand Theft Auto titles. In fifth place, we have Grand Theft Auto 3 with around 14.5 million units in sales. And blasting into fourth place is Grand Theft Auto Vice City with around 17.5 million units sold. Sprinting into third place is Grand Theft Auto 4 with just over 25 million units in sales. Flying into the second spot on this list is Grand Theft Auto San Andreas with around 27.5 million units sold. And at first place, leading the race by a mile, is Grand Theft Auto 5 with just over 200 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 best-selling Madden titles. Touching down into fifth place is Madden NFL 09 with around 2.3 million units in sales. Kicking its way into the fourth spot is Madden NFL 05 with around 6.1 million units sold. And grabbing the third spot on this list is Madden NFL 08 with around 6.6 million units in sales. And sprinting into the second spot is Madden NFL 06 with around 6.7 million units in sales. And securing the first spot on this list is Madden NFL 07, selling around 7.7 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Zelda titles. Blasting in at fifth place is the original Legend of Zelda with around 6.5 million units in sales. Striking down at fourth place is the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time with around 7.6 million units sold. Sprinting into the third spot is the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess with around 8.9 million units in sales. Flying into second place is the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom with around 21.9 million units sold. And exploding into first place is the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, selling around 34.5 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling God of War titles. Slashing in at fifth place is God of War 2 with around 4.2 million units in sales. Slicing into fourth place is the original God of War with around 4.6 million units sold. And flying into the third spot is God of War 3 with around 5.2 million units in sales. And spinning into second place is God of War Ragnarok with around 15 million units sold. And securing the first spot on this list by a mile is God of War 2018, selling just over 23 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Need for Speed titles. Drifting into the fifth spot is Need for Speed Hot Pursuit with around 5 million units in sales. And racing into the fourth spot is Need for Speed Undercover with around 5.2 million units sold. Cruising into third place is Need for Speed Underground 2 with around 7 million units in sales. Shifting into the second spot is Need for Speed Underground 1 with around 15 million units in sales. And boosting its way into the first spot is Need for Speed Most Wanted, selling around 17 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Mortal Kombat titles. Slicing in at fifth place is Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance with around 3.5 million units sold. Teleporting into fourth place is Mortal Kombat 2011 with around 4 million units in sales. And flying into third place is Mortal Kombat 1 with around 6.2 million units sold. Jumping into second place is Mortal Kombat X with around 12 million units in sales. And blasting away into first place is Mortal Kombat 11, selling around 15 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Gran Turismo titles. Cruising into 5th place is Gran Turismo 2 with around 9.4 million units in sales. Drifting into the 4th spot is Gran Turismo 5 with around 10 million units sold. Racing into the 3rd spot is Gran Turismo 1 with around 10.9 million units sold. And revving into the 2nd spot is Gran Turismo 4 with around 11.6 million units in sales. And securing the 1st spot on this list is Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec, selling around 14.9 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Pro Evolution Soccer titles. Kicking the list off at 5th place is PES 2013 with around 6.1 million units in sales. Sprinting into the 4th spot is PES 2012 with around 6.4 million units sold. And lobbing into the 3rd spot is PES 5 with around 7 million units in sales. And running into the 2nd spot is PES 2011 with around 7.5 million units sold. And marginally securing the 1st spot on this list is PES 2010, selling just over 7.5 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Doom titles. Blasting into the 5th spot is Doom 2 with around 1.8 million units in sales. Exploding into the 4th spot is Doom 2016 with just over 2 million units sold. Jumping into 3rd place is Doom 1993 with around 3.5 million units in sales. Creeping into the 2nd spot is Doom 3 with just over 3.5 million units in sales. And freezing the 1st spot on this list is Doom Eternal, selling around 6 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Souls-like titles. Slashing into the 5th spot is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice with around 10 million units in sales. Burning up the 4th spot on this list is Dark Souls 2 with around 10.5 million units sold. Jumping into 3rd place is Dark Souls 1 from 2011 with around 12.9 million units in sales. Making an entrance in the 2nd spot is Dark Souls 3 with around 15.4 million units sold. And slamming into 1st place is Elden Ring, selling around 30 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Crash Bandicoot titles. Jumping into the 5th spot is Crash Bandicoot 4 It's About Time with around 5 million units in sales. Hopping into the 4th spot is the original Crash Bandicoot with around 6.8 million units sold. Spinning into 3rd place is Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped with around 7.1 million units in sales. Bouncing into the 2nd spot is Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back with around 7.6 million units sold. And drifting into 1st place is Crash Team Racing, selling around 10 million units. So here are the top 5 best-selling Tekken titles. Jumping into the 5th spot is Tekken 6 with around 5.6 million units sold. And sliding into 4th place is Tekken 2 with around 5.7 million units in sales. Picking its way into the 3rd spot is Tekken 3 with around 8.4 million units sold. Punching its way into the 2nd spot is Tekken 5 with around 9.4 million units in sales. And slamming into the 1st spot is Tekken 7, selling just over 11.8 million units. So here are the top 5 best-selling Metal Gear Solid titles. Shooting up the 5th spot is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater with around 4.2 million units in sales. And blasting the 4th spot on this list is Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots with around 6 million units sold. Stepping into 3rd place is Metal Gear Solid 1998 with around 8 million units in sales. Dragging its way into the 2nd spot is Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty with around 8 million units sold. And ambushing the 1st spot on this list is Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, selling just over 10 million units. So here are the top 5 best-selling Elder Scrolls titles. Climbing into 5th place is the Elder Scrolls Arena with around 120,000 units in sales. Fading into 4th place is the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall with around 700,000 units sold. Floating its way into the 3rd spot is the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind with around 4 million units in sales. Shining into 2nd place is the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion with around 9.5 million units sold. And slashing its way into the 1st spot by a mile is the Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, selling just over 60 million units. So, here are the top 5 best-selling Fallout titles. Slicing into the 5th spot is Fallout 2 with around 1.5 million units in sales. Blasting into the 4th spot is Fallout New Vegas with around 11.5 million units sold. And creeping into 3rd place is Fallout 3 with around 12.4 million units in sales. Running into the 2nd spot is Fallout 76 with around 21 million units sold. And securing the 1st spot on this list is Fallout 4 selling just over 25 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling Borderlands titles. Blasting into 5th place is Borderlands 4 with around 2.5 million units in sales. Loading up the 4th spot on this list is Borderlands 1 with just over 6 million units sold. Jumping into 3rd place is Borderlands, the pre-sequel, with just over 7 million units in sales. Firing into 2nd place is Borderlands 3 with just over 22 million units sold. Exploding into 1st place is Borderlands 2 selling just over 30 million units. Here are the top 5 best-selling game franchises of all time. Coming in at number 5 is EA Sports FC, previously known as FIFA, selling over 325 million games. Taking the 4th spot on this list is Grand Theft Auto, selling over 410 million copies. And at 3rd place on this list is Call of Duty, managing to get 425 plus million copies sold. And in the 2nd spot, we have Super Mario, marginally beating Call of Duty, also at 425 plus million copies sold. And to no surprise, taking the 1st spot is Pokemon, selling over 480 million copies. Here are the top 5 PSP games ranked by sales. Slashing its way into the 5th spot is Monster Hunter Freedom Unite with 3.8 million units sold. Coming in at 4th place is Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, amassing a total of 4.5 million units in sales. Drifting into 3rd place is Gran Turismo with 4.6 million units in sales. Taking the 2nd spot on this list is Monster Hunter Portable 3rd with 4.9 million units sold. And running away with the 1st spot on this list is Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories with 8 million units in sales.
Here are the top 5 best-selling games on the original Xbox. Punching into 5th spot on our list is Dead or Alive 3, managing a total of 2 million copies. Climbing into the 4th spot on our list is Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell, managing a total of 2.4 million in sales. The 3rd spot on our list is taken by Fable with 3 million copies. Flooding into 2nd place is Halo Combat Evolved, managing a total of 5 million copies. And 1st place on our list belongs to Halo 2, managing a grand total of 8.4 million units. Here's a list of the top 5 best-selling games on the Xbox 360. Blasting off in 5th place, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 with 13 million units sold. Rocketing into 4th place is Halo 3 with 14 million units sold. In 3rd place, we have Call of Duty Black Ops with just over 14 million units in total. Robbing the 2nd spot on our list is GTA 5 with 15 million units in total. And creeping into the 1st spot is Minecraft Xbox 360 edition with 21 million units in total.
Here are the top 5 Xbox One games ranked by sales. Dunking into number 5 is NBA 2K20 with 7.89 million units sold. And drifting into the 4th spot is Forza Horizon 4 with 8.67 million units in sales. Managing to score the 3rd spot on this list is FIFA 18 at 9.21 million units sold. Escaping with the 2nd spot is Grand Theft Auto 5, managing to sell 16.33 million units. And crafting its 1st place trophy is Minecraft Xbox One Edition with 17.95 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 PS Vita games ranked by sales. Slashing into the 5th spot is Persona 4 Golden with just over 1 million units in sales. Hopping into the 4th spot is Little Big Planet PS Vita with just over 1.1 million units sold. Exploding into the 3rd spot is Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified, selling around 1.25 million units. And sneaking its way past Call of Duty and into the 2nd spot is Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation with just under 1.3 million units in sales. And crowned at the 1st spot is Uncharted Golden Abyss with around 1.5 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 Nintendo 3DS games ranked by sales. Coming in at 5th place is Animal Crossing New Leaf with 13.04 million units sold. And coming in at 4th place is Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with 14.67 million units sold. And capturing the 3rd spot on this list is Pokemon Sun and Moon with with 16.33 million units sold. And evolving into second place is Pokemon X and Y with a total of 16.78 million units in sales. And racing into first place is Mario Kart 7, amassing a total of 18.99 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 Nintendo Switch games ranked by sales. Sliding into the 5th spot is Super Mario Odyssey with 29.84 million units in sales. And roaming into the 4th spot on this list is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, coming in at 33.34 million units. Grabbing the 3rd spot on this list is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate with 36.93 million units sold. And crawling its way into the 2nd spot is Animal Crossing New Horizons with 48.62 million units in sales. And drifting into the 1st spot is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, garnering 69.56 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 Nintendo Wii U games ranked by sales. Coming in at 5th place is Nintendo Land with 5.21 million units sold. Punching in at 4th place is Super Smash Bros. For Wii U with 5.38 million units in sales. And sliding into 3rd place is New Super Mario Bros. U, selling 5.82 million units. Clawing its way into 2nd place is Super Mario 3D World with 5.89 million units sold. And revving into the 1st spot is Mario Kart 8 with 8.46 million units in sales. Here are the top 5 Nintendo DS games ranked by sales. Surprisingly coming in at 5th place is Pokemon Black and White with 15.64 million units in sales. And taking up the 4th spot on this list is Brain Training with 19.01 million units sold. Slipping its way into the 3rd spot is Mario Kart DS with 23.60 million units in sales. And barking at the 2nd spot is Nintendogs with 23.96 million units in sales. Jumping into the 1st spot is New Super Mario Bros. With 30.80 million units sold. Here are the top 5 best-selling consoles of all time, including the different variants of each console. Coming in at number 5 is PlayStation 4 with 117 million units sold. And taking the 4th spot is Game Boy with 119 million units in sales. In the 3rd spot we have Nintendo Switch with 153 million units in sales. Coming in at 2nd place is the Nintendo DS selling 154 million units. And taking the 1st spot on this list is the PlayStation 2 with 160 million units sold.
Tell and Rody. Go tell and Rody.
Every game of the year 2006 to 2010.
Facts about the PlayStation 2 Slim. The PS2 Slim is only 2.8 centimeters thick and still holds the crown for being the thinnest home console ever built. The flip lid had issues. When left open, dust got in easier, which is why Slim lasers wore out faster. In Brazil, the PS2 Slim just wouldn't die. Because of high import taxes, the PS3 was too expensive, so Sony kept selling the Slim until 2013 for many Brazilians. The PS2 Slim was the console of choice. The Slim loved cheap DVDs and CDs. Its drive was able to read them more easily than the fat PS2 and pirated copies of games booned. The PS2 Slim helped Sony keep the record of the best-selling console ever at 155 million units. The Nintendo DS is its closest competitor at 154 million units sold. 5 fun facts about the Wii U. Most people thought the Wii U was an add-on for the original Wii. This confused shoppers so badly, many didn't realize it was a brand new console. Did you know the Wii U was Nintendo's first console to finally support HD graphics? The Wii U was the last Nintendo console to use discs. The Switch switched fully to cartridges. The Wii U managed to sell 13.56 million units. Nothing to scoff at. However, this did make it Nintendo's worst-selling home console ever. The Wii U games sold nearly as many units as the console itself. Proof that gamers loved the game's library.
Hey guys, today we're going to be reviewing a game that went completely over my head at the time. It won Game of the Year for 2022, and I want to find out why. Because it's a game about a cat. Right, let's move around. What does this do? Press circle to... Ah! I can call my friends to me. Mufasa! Help me then! No? You're just gonna watch me fall? There's a lonely security guard somewhere stalking me. Stalking a cat. But, cats make mess, so let's go. Knock it over, knock it over. Knock everything over. That way. No, I see you. Get lost, get lost. Oh! No, 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 no! Ah, computer. We all know these. Chat, talk to me, chat. Spam ones, spam them. Where do I go?
To be fair to the game, I have enjoyed it so far. I'm still surprised it managed to win Game of the Year though. Everyone thinks open world games started with GTA, but that's not even close. In 1999, there was a game that let you live a daily life inside a world, and most people haven't played it. This is Shenmue. You play as Ryu Hazuki, a teenager whose father is unalived right in front of him. And instead of becoming an action hero, the game forces you to live a normal life while trying to figure out who did it. There are no quest markers, no minimap telling you where to go, and to make progress, you literally walk around town asking questions. You have to knock on doors, talk to shop owners, and ask random people if they've seen a black car or recognize a name. And people don't magically help you either. Sometimes they can give you vague answers, sometimes they will send you somewhere else, and sometimes they don't help at all.
Get out of my space, schoolboy!
You're not sprinting from quest to quest. You literally lived in the world. What made this insane for 1999 is that the world doesn't revolve around you. NPCs have routines, stores open and close at specific times, and buses even run on schedule. If someone tells you come back at 7 p.m., you actually have to wait until 7 p.m. So while you wait, you live your life. You train martial arts, you can work part-time jobs like driving a forklift, and you can also play classic arcade games. That's what I loved about the game. The goal wasn't action, it wasn't speed, it was full immersion. Avatar is one of the biggest movies of all time. Insane visuals, a crazy alien world, and Pandora feels massive. So when the game dropped, everyone expected to actually live in that world. And instead, critics said, yeah, this sucks. The first Avatar game came out in 2009, right alongside the movie. It was made by Ubisoft, and on paper, it sounded perfect. You're on Pandora, you can choose to side with the Na'vi or the humans. You've got alien wildlife, giant environments, and sci-fi weapons. Sounds fantastic. But when people actually played it, they realized something fast. This wasn't an open world the way the movie made you imagine. It's pretty much just a third-person action shooter. You run from mission to mission, shoot enemies, clear objectives, and then move on. The world looks big, but it's mostly just wide paths connecting combat arenas, so exploration kinda sucks. Wildlife is more like background decoration than something you actually get to interact with, and the story kinda sucked too. There was nothing revolutionary here, no deep immersion, no feeling of actually living inside Pandora. For a world that was supposed to feel alive and sacred, the game felt very mechanical, and that's the reason why it was such a disappointment, because Avatar is a movie sold immersion. People didn't just like the story, they wanted to be there. So when the game came out and basically said, here's Pandora, now go shoot shit, it felt like a missed opportunity. Gamers weren't mad that the game was bad, they were mad that it was boring. Bottom line, the game felt rushed and deserved more time. The first Avatar game sucked, but Frontiers of Pandora did a really good job of trying to put you inside the game this time. So we talked about how the first Avatar game was a giant flop in 2009. Well, in 2023, it looks like Ubisoft learned their lesson when they published Frontiers of Pandora. Unlike the older 2009 Avatar game, this one is a true open world with huge regions of Pandora you can explore freely, including quests, survival elements, and a central story that actually ties into the Avatar universe. You play as a Na'vi orphan who was kidnapped as a child and raised by the human military corporation known as the RDA. After years in cryosleep, you wake up in the Western Frontier, a massive, never-before-seen region of Pandora in which you have to reconnect with your culture while organizing local clans to fight back against the RDA's exploitation. Gameplay is mostly first-person exploration and combat, and you can use both traditional Na'vi weapons like bows and spears, and more modern guns if you want. You'll climb gigantic trees, glide on your Ikran, hunt wildlife, gather materials, craft gear, and take down outposts. The game also has co-op support, so you can actually explore the entire campaign with a friend, which is huge. Lots of people say that Pandora is incredibly beautiful and immersive, with stunning visuals, varied environments, and actual reasons to venture around, whether you're flying, exploring, or sneaking through an RDA base. And honestly, I have to agree, this is a world that actually feels alive. Critics that didn't even love everything still had to admit that the world itself is what makes this game worth playing. Players who are big Avatar fans say it feels like this is the closest thing you'll actually get to living on Pandora. The new Avatar game expansion just dropped, and this isn't another side DLC. From the Ashes throws you into a war-torn Pandora, and it introduces revenge, fire-scarred landscapes, new enemies, and even Na'vi vs Na'vi combat. So this expansion is a new story pack for Avatar, which ties into the new movie release. Now, instead of just adding more regions or quests, this expansion gives you a brand new narrative arc focused on rebuilding, rage, and revenge after Pandora has literally been scorched.
Now in From the Ashes, you play as a Na'vi warrior whose world has been devastated. His homeland and family have been scattered in a brutal assault by a new RDA-aligned force and the Manquan clan. This expansion updates core systems, Banshee riding feels more fluid, and combat is tuned for heavier storytelling. And perhaps the most surprising addition is that Na'vi vs Na'vi combat emerges as a game mechanic and narrative beat, something Frontiers of Pandora never had before. The landscapes aren't lush jungles anymore, they're charred forests and ravaged territories where every step feels dangerous and meaningful. Story-wise, From the Ashes connects tightly to the new Avatar film Fire and Ash.
Skyrim isn't remembered as one of the best open world games ever because of its combat or even its story. It's remembered because it lets you live in its world, not just play missions inside it. Skyrim is an open world fantasy game where you're dropped into a massive land filled with cities, villages, mountains, and ruins. Now here's a main story about dragons and saving the world, but here's the thing, you can ignore it for hundreds of hours and the game still works. Because here you don't just run from mission to mission, you walk into a town and people are already living their lives. Shopkeepers open and close their stores, NPCs go to sleep at night, and guards even react to what you've done. You can overhear a random conversation in a bar, and that conversation can turn into a quest. So in short, Skyrim doesn't treat the world like a checklist. There aren't constant pop-ups telling you what to do next. You can hunt, steal, you can roleplay as a nobody who never saves the world, and the game doesn't punish you for that. It adjusts to how you choose to exist in it. Most open world games are built around missions. Go here, do this, finish the objective, can't move forward till you do this. But Skyrim was built around presence. You remember moments like getting lost in a snowstorm or walking into a city and seeing it rise in the distance. Those moments aren't scripted. They happen because the world felt real. That's why people are still playing Skyrim more than a decade later. Not because the graphics are insane or the combat aged perfectly or whatever, but because it understood something important, and that is that the best open worlds aren't just places you play in. They're places you can get lost in, which most games really don't do anymore. Everyone thought that 2025's Game of the Year would be a massive open world RPG, but the game that's actually won has come out of nowhere.
The game is called Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and the idea behind it is actually really simple and sort of dark. You're in this world that once a year a mysterious godlike being called the Paintress paints a number in the sky, and when she paints that number, everyone who is that age is instantly unalived. So if she paints 33, every 33-year-old is gone. Next year it's 32, then 31, and you get the point. So there's no escape and everyone knows their time is coming. In the game they send out expeditions, groups of people who are already close to dying anyway, who volunteer for a one-way mission to try and stop her. You play as Expedition 33, a group that knows that this might be their final year alive and literally no one expects you to win. Every expedition before you has failed, so you travel through a strange, beautiful world that literally looks like a living painting. You fight enemies, talk to your teammates, and slowly uncover what the Paintress really is and why the countdown even exists. The combat is turn-based, so you take turns attacking, but you also have to time button presses, your dodges, and your reacts, so it's not boring, you're always involved. Now most games are about becoming stronger, but this game does the opposite as it constantly reminds you that you're running out of time, and that's why this game stood out. Not because it was the biggest or the loudest, but because it felt honest. Now the reason it won is honestly because it made players feel something.
Everyone dreamed of living in Hogwarts, and Hogwarts Legacy finally lets you do that. But the open world doesn't feel like a world at all.
Hogwarts Legacy came out in 2023, and you start as a 5th-year student in the late 1800s, learning spells, attending classes, brewing potions, and exploring Hogwarts. And honestly, the first few hours are pretty incredible. Hogwarts itself feels really well done, walking through the castle, discovering secrets, and hearing little details in the background. And then you unlock flying. The first time I hopped in a broom and took off over the castle, that moment alone sold the fantasy. But after that initial phase wears off, the world starts to feel boring. Yeah, the environments are beautiful and the visuals are great. Everyone can all agree on that. But there's a really common complaint that keeps coming up. The open world feels empty and repetitive. After a while, you realize that most of what you're doing is just the same thing over and over again. There's also this weird disconnect in how the game treats your character. The story talks a lot about being a good student, making the right choices, choosing the moral thing, but in actual gameplay, you can break into houses, steal from people, and just be a total degenerate with zero consequences. That said, there is a lot this game gets right, and as a Harry Potter fan, it scratches that itch. Casting spells you grew up watching, flying on a broom, walking the same halls you imagined as a kid. But by the end, it's clear what this game really is. Hogwarts Legacy works incredibly well as a fantasy wish fulfillment, but as an open world RPG, it never fully comes alive.
GTA 5 came out over 12 years ago, and it still has a better open world than most games that came out last year.
GTA 5 dropped in 2013, and it's been released a million times. And when you play it, you immediately remember why this world still dominates. Los Santos feels alive in a way that most open worlds still struggle to match. Every time I jump in, it's not about the missions right away, it's the small things. And what really separates it is how reactive everything is. If you bump into someone, they react. If you pull out a gun, people panic. The more chaos you cause, the more the world escalates with you, and cops respond dynamically. NPCs run, hide, fight back, or pull out their phones, and it never feels scripted. You're not just doing the same objective over and over again, and that's why GTA Online has worked for so long. You can log in with no plan and still end up doing something memorable. Compare that to a lot of modern open worlds. They're bigger, they're better, and they have more systems, but they don't react in the same way. Rockstar understood something early on that a lot of studios still miss. An open world doesn't need endless content, it needs believable behavior. That's why GTA 5 has lasted so long. You can hop on to GTA Online with your friends and literally get lost in there for hours and hours.